What are we doing here? Today is all about a celebration dish. We are making Porcini-Crusted beef tenderloin. It's umami packed from all of the mushrooms. This is happiness in a dish. Hey everybody, Dennis Prescott here in the Traeger kitchen. It's the holiday season. It is all about that special feast, that main course, the thing that comes out and everybody has an ah moment when it hits the table. For me, that's beef tenderloin. I love tenderloin. It's obviously a celebration kind of cut and something that you want to treat really carefully, delicately. Doesn't need to be stressful, of course, but there are a few steps that you want to make sure that you take care of along the way. My favorite way to cook beef tenderloin is a Porcini-Crusted tenderloin with a beautiful mushroom red wine sauce. It's absolutely incredible, kind of some classic techniques, and then a little bit of extra umami coming from that porcini. You're gonna absolutely love it. Let's get right into it. So we have our tenderloin ready to go. Butcher has trimmed this down. You can do that yourself, of course, if you prefer, but this is ready to go. It's a center cut tenderloin. Lovely, looks beautiful, just as is. I'm just gonna put that to the side for a second. And this is quick, easy. We are not doing anything necessarily difficult, but we're gonna add a few flavors that are gonna really help this cut to absolutely pop. So rosemary, for me, rosemary and beef, absolute best friends. And thyme. If you don't have access to thyme or rosemary, you can double up on one or the other, but the combination is absolutely incredible. And with the porcini itself, it's gonna absolutely pop. And of course, it's something you can find in basically any kind of grocery store nowadays. But mushrooms, they're just a weapon of flavor. All right. Into a bowl with that herby goodness, or I say herby goodness because I'm a Canadian and I always get roasted for it. I think I'm right. Porcini powder. If you can't find porcini powder, you can get whole dried porcinis, put them in a little kind of a coffee grinder or a blitzer or a blender and just get them as kind of fine as possible. With quite a bit of that. Grab a microplane, a little bit of lemon zest on here. I love using lemon zest. Obviously we don't want to add any liquid to this, but lemon zest on the outside is going to just add a nice freshness. It's going to be really fragrant, and you're using the whole citrus, which is great. You don't want to waste anything. So get that on there, and a lot of salt. Remember, when you're cooking something like steak or a nice cut of meat, you can't season the inside, you have to season the outside. So go a little bit heavier on the outside, knowing that it's going to help penetrate that meat as well. And a good bit of pepper. Give that a mix. We'll set that to the side. And the only thing that we're gonna do, just a little bit of olive oil. It's just gonna help that to stick. Give that a nice massage. And then we're gonna go on with this powder, and again, just massage that in, cover every little nook and cranny. Of course, you can do this ahead of time as well. It's just one easy step you can do in advance. So you could definitely do this the day before, put this in the fridge, bring it to room temp before you put it on the grill. This cut, especially, you wanna make sure that you're cooking it properly. You're investing a lot of time, effort, and energy into cooking it, so you wanna make sure that you're cooking it to temperature. We're gonna add a meter probe in here as well, just to make sure that this comes out absolutely perfect. I am gonna set this aside because we have one on the grill already in advance, so we'll move on to the next step. And this smells unbelievable. The beautiful fragrance from the herbs on here. The porcini is lovely. Nice bit of smoke on here. Of course, we're not done the cooking process. I am gonna set it aside for a second. We're gonna increase our grill temp so we can get a nice bit of color and char on here, and then we're gonna move on to our sauce. So smoked tenderloin, we're just gonna set to the side for a second. While our grill comes to temperature, we can get ready with our sauce. I love mushrooms. I've always loved mushrooms. I know some people don't, some people do love mushrooms. I typically tend to think if someone doesn't eat something, maybe it's just not cooked properly. And I know that might seem a lot, but I think mushrooms are one of those things that just take a little extra loving care. We wanna get some color on them. We wanna treat them beautifully. We wanna season them properly when they're meant to be seasoned. There's just a few steps along the way to make sure that mushrooms are absolutely lights out. We have a variety pack of mushroom deliciousness here. I would recommend, if you can, get as many different types of mushrooms as absolutely possible. Both, it's gonna, obviously the dish is gonna benefit for it because they're gonna taste really unique. It's gonna look great. And we have access nowadays to so many different kinds of mushrooms as, at the supermarket. Just get as many as possible. If you get something like an oyster mushroom that looks like this, that's absolutely beautiful, you can just tear them. All right, so we'll set these mushrooms aside. And then other than that, this sauce could not be easier. Very simple to throw together. Grab a couple large shallots. Again, just cut these down. What I love about working with a red wine sauce, specifically with mushrooms and steak, obviously red wine, actually, what are we doing here? Sante. All right, now we're cooking. So to me, red wine and beef, classic combination for a reason. Couldn't be better, couldn't be easier. This is a dish that you can throw together. This is a sauce as well that you can do well in advance and reheat for the day, no problem. So if you're somebody who wants to get ahead of time, who wants to think ahead, be a little more prepped so you can actually just chill out on the actual big day, this is a great recipe for that. Cut down your shallots. 2 big ones are enough. Try to find your garlic, which is right here. You can cut these, you can use a microplane, whatever works for you. So our grill is up to temp. It's time to put our tenderloin back on the grill, get some beautiful golden color and cook it through perfectly. While that's happening, we're gonna get our sauce ready to go. I love this sauce. It's easy to prepare as long as you have great mushrooms as a start. But really, this sauce, it's perfect with any cut of beef. Obviously, it's gonna be great with tenderloin, but if you wanna make steaks as well, really, really delicious. A little bit of olive oil into our pan. All of our mushrooms. And we're just gonna let them cook down. Like I said, it looks like a lot of mushrooms in there. Give it the time that it needs. Those are gonna reduce in size. They're gonna cook down. We're gonna remove them in a minute after they get some nice color on there, and of course, continue the cooking process down the road. Mushrooms have a nice bit of color on these, so we're gonna add a little bit of salt here to season. We're gonna lose one, hero down. Just take those out. We'll come back to them in a minute, but we're gonna carry on with our sauce now. So, a little bit of butter going in here. Mama always said butter makes everything better, so why not? A little bit of shallots in here. We're just gonna let those sweat down. A little bit of salt is gonna help here. So once your shallots have kind of cooked down a little bit, they've just softened, we're gonna go in with some garlic. We're gonna add more of this beautiful porcini powder. Kind of continues to tell the story that we started with the tenderloin as well. Obviously this is a mushroom-based sauce, so adding more mushrooms never gonna hurt. And the concentrated flavor with the porcini powder is just gonna add this incredible umami punch to this sauce that's absolutely delicious. Let that go for about 30 seconds. Then we're gonna go in with a lot of red wine. Just bring that to a simmer and then reduce by half. Red wine cooking down. It's looking lovely right now. We're gonna go in with a little bit of beef stock. Which is an amazing combination. We're gonna add these beautiful mushrooms. So our sauce is gonna come back to a simmer. It's gonna cook down a second time, get beautiful, thick, glossy, absolutely gonna be incredible. While that's happening, we'll take a quick look here. Our tenderloin is perfect right now, exactly where we want it to be. It is time to let this rest. It goes without saying, but you're putting so much time, energy, attention into creating this beautiful cut. You want to let it rest. Give it the time that it needs to finish this part of the cooking process. Let all of those beautiful juices soak back. It's going to create the most incredible, tender, luscious tenderloin you've ever had. And while it rests, it gives us a couple more minutes just to finish up our sauce, and then it's time to plate up. So our sauce is cooked down, it's beautiful, it looks absolutely incredible. Basically, one last step, we're just gonna move our tenderloin to the side. Again, lots of butter in this sauce. So we'll go in with our butter. This is just gonna give this a nice, beautiful, glossy finish. Obviously, butter tastes incredible. I don't need to tell anybody that, but it's gonna round out our sauce as well. So once your butter is incorporated, last thing we're gonna do, just give it a taste. A little bit of salt. But that is packed with, absolutely packed with flavor. That's why I love building sauces like this from the ground up. Of course, a nice bit of color on the mushrooms, cooking that red wine down, giving it the time that it needs, cooking the stock and the mushrooms down again, giving it the time that it needs. Nice bit of garlic in there as well. This would be beautiful on absolutely any cut of beef. So just portion your sauce out. And if you happen to have any sauce left over, obviously you can add it on top later, or put this in the fridge, just reheat it the next day. It's gonna be great on whatever you want to eat it on. I like to cut big rounds. So to me, this looks absolutely perfect. My preference is a medium rare done tenderloin, really across the board with beef. Of course, if you want it cooked a little bit longer, choose your own adventure. It's definitely down to a personal preference for sure, or cook it a little less if you want. But really, that's why we're using that meter probe. That's why we're cooking to temperature and not time, so you can really manage exactly what you want your doneness to be. All right, so pull our mushrooms back up here. Of course, you could serve it like this, no problem. But I love, to me, chives and beef, absolute best friends. Taste incredible, look beautiful. So we're just gonna finely chop some chives here. Hit that with a little bit of salt. Top that with your chives. This looks incredible, perfect for the holiday season or really any time that you want to celebrate. Let's go in for a little bite. My God. To me, this is exactly how I want a tenderloin. If I'm going to a house, if I'm cooking it for myself, this is happiness in a dish. It's umami packed from all of the mushrooms, both in the sauce and of course continuing the story of mushrooms into the tenderloin as well with those porcinis. It's vibrant, it's cooked perfectly, nice bit of smoke from the grill of course, that just really is the cherry on top of the cake as far as this dish is concerned. I would be a very happy person if someone cooked me this for the holidays, and I highly recommend that you cook this for you and yours this holiday season. If you want the recipe, as always, it's in the caption below. And this recipe and so many more are on Traeger.com. Have an incredible holiday season. Like and subscribe to Traeger across every social channel, and have an amazing day. Oh, and I'll eat the rest of this and drink an entire bottle of wine. Cheers.